Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to Mentor Monday. Mentor Monday is your weekly microdose of encouragement, inspiration, and miracle grow on your potential as a coach. And as you're making it into the room, do us a huge favor. This is the drill right here. This is the thing. Let us know that you are here. Jump into the comments and tell us your name, where you're joining us from. And we should see your name a couple of times here and there, depending on where you're joining us from. We may not be able to see your name, but let us know where you're joining us from, what you're excited about, and feel life and momentum on. Hopefully, my microphone is working well. We had some issues a little bit earlier today, and I'm going to try not to move too much until we get this thing fixed. I have no idea what happened, but somebody was saying something about it going in and out. So, not super sure. Let me say hello to everyone who's saying hello to me. There is Shane. How's it going, Shane? We've got Giovanni in Dallas, Texas. Looking forward to a great session. Miranda's joining us from Michigan. Welcome, Miranda. Kel is joining us from Reno, Nevada. How's it going, Kel? And if you're just making it into the room, what are we doing? Well, two big ways that you can do us a huge favor. I'm over here in a studio all the way out here in California, so I don't have the benefit of hearing your voice and seeing your face. So do me two big favors. Jump in the comments, say hello to us. The other thing, if you can like and or share this post, at least like it. It tells Facebook and it tells YouTube that we're doing a good job. And I really try my best to give you guys great content that'll help you grow as a coach, but also to really thrive in your business. And so that's always what my agenda is for what we're doing on Monday nights. Angie is joining us from Chicago. Shan is joining us from Michigan. Rob is joining us from Thailand. Boy, it's been a long time since I saw you, Rob. I hope you're doing well. There's Joan, who's joining us from Bakersfield. All right. Well, here's the thing. This is going to be, and do me a huge favor and continue to say hello to us and all of those things. Today's content is going to be, we might be approaching like 45 minutes by the time I end up knocking it all out. Here's where it came from. This is one of my favorite topics. I just don't get asked this question enough. But one of the things that I always encourage our coaches to do is to create multiple streams of income anyway. So I believe that speaking in general, if it's in your wheelhouse and it's something that you like to do or whatever, I think that can be a really great stream of income that can feed other areas of your business. And even if it is not a stream of income, if it makes sense to do a free speaking gig, and when I say a free speaking gig, really what I'm talking about is there's a number of different platforms to be able to do that. You know, back in my day, that sounds like forever ago. Back in my day, when I started, that meant that if you're a lot of that are out there, whether that be your Instagram, your face, whether that be Facebook Live, whether that be YouTube, whether that be a podcast. You might even be interviewed. You might even be doing a Zoom on your own, whether you control it or not. The thing is that the ability to get in front of people is so much easier than it ever has been. And it's really cost effective. And it's one of those ways that you can very quickly build rapport. Because one of the things that I've always told you guys is that to get clients, there's two things that have to really happen for a coaching relationship to be born. One side of that is that the client has to want something so bad that they're willing to do something about it. It's hit critical level. I'd say critical mass is on a scale of the pain scale of 0 to 10, it's 8 or higher. They must do something about it. So there's readiness on the part of the client. On the other side is that you have to have rapport with the client. They have to believe that, first should say they must like you. You must be likable, because you got to like somebody if you're going to get into a coaching relationship. It is a relationship after all. You also have to be not only just someone who is likable, they need to trust you. And the third thing is that they have to believe that you have a solution, because it's not enough to trust people and like them. You have to actually believe that they have a solution that can help you get the results that you're looking for. A coaching relationship is born out of that. Now, Some of you are posting on Instagram all day long. Some of you are posting on Facebook all day long, or Pinterest, or whatever you're doing. And I think that you should be doing that, and you should be sending emails and all of those other things and getting in front of people. But there is nothing that showcases you as much as you talking to your audience and you connecting with them personally. That's one thing that speaking gigs allow you to do that the other things really don't. It's kind of like, well, I kind of like this person. I like their videos or whatever, or I like what they're posting or whatever. But when you're in front of someone, even if you're coming to them through a computer screen or the screen on their phone, there's something that happens in that moment where you can accelerate the rapport side of things. Now, there's some other things that you can do to accelerate the readiness side of things for people, but there's definitely something that you can do that would accelerate your ability to build trust, build likability, and demonstrate that you can help people get results. And so that's really what I want to show you. And this is why I love these things so much. So let me say hello to a couple of more people who are on here saying hello to me. Let me jump on over here. Sandy is joining us from New Jersey. So good. Oh, and Shane, who's been crushing it, by the way, in ADHD coaching, says, I'm going to New York City next week to be a part of a documentary called ADHD, Wired Differently, who want to feature my nonprofit men's ADHD support group in it. It's a huge win. That is so good. I love it. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you, because you know what? Angela, who's in our Jumpstart course, you could thank her. She's the one who asked this question last week because she's got some upcoming speaking gigs, and she really wanted to leverage it for her own coaching practice. And so all of this is freshly written, even though I've covered this topic before in the past, freshly written, but still on my whiteboard, because it's a lot of content that I didn't feel like we could throw adequately into a PowerPoint for you today. So we're going to dive in. First thing that we want to talk about is this. How do you turn speaking engagements, use speaking engagements to get business? The first thing that you've got to do is that you've got to think about the fact that you need to maximize this opportunity. So anything that we do as business people, I know a lot of times we do things and we don't really think about the outcome that we want. If you're going to speak anywhere, don't just go out there and do interviews. Don't just go out there and do podcasts. Don't just go and do a live event without thinking of your outcomes first. What do you want to be the outcome at the end of this thing? Now, one part of it, I actually told you, is a huge outcome that we want, which is what? Which is you want to knock people's socks off. You want to serve them really well. Why? Because we're trying to build a rapport here. So we need to know that one of our outcomes is obviously that we want to accelerate rapport. We want to build it, and we want to demonstrate that we can help people. That's the first thing. The second outcome should be really obvious, but if it's not, I'll spell it out for you. You want to get referrals. Obviously, you want to get prospective people who are interested in your coaching. And so when I say that, what I mean by that with referrals, we need to follow up with people. You need to get as many people as you can inside of your contacts list. Some of you, if you do not already have an email list, you need to start. I don't care if you have nobody in it yet. I don't care if it's only your mom and your brother and your aunt are in your email list. I want you to have that email list ready before you go live, like for people to be able to opt into it. Now, one of the things that you saw I threw on the screen is your hint is freebies. If you want to get people to get into your, whether it's an email list, and I'll grab my phone just as an example. It always helps to have something in your hand. What you want is for people to be able to do something while they're on there with you. So that means you got to make it really easy, if it's an email list, for people to get in your email list. Now, I'm going to go into more details about this, but some of you might actually have a text list. If you're using SMS text, it's not super expensive, but it does cost something. Email's pretty much free. That's why I'd say freebie, do something free. But you want to have something that is a freebie to encourage them to do something about it, right? I'll go into more detail about all these things in just a second. The other thing is that you need to have a place for people to follow, have a plan for people to follow you wherever you live on social media. So have a plan for that. If people need to find you, how can they find you? Sometimes when you're getting an interview, people actually ask that question. So we need to have that stuff ready, which means that you need to have your website ready. It also means that you need to have some simple social media handles for people to be able to get you. And if you are in person with this, you know what you want? You want to have a booth or a place where people can meet you and connect with you. Now, here's the other outcome that we want to think about for this. 3 is this. You'll want to think ahead of time about the fact that whatever you are doing in this speaking gig, in this speaking opportunity, you want content for marketing yourself in the future. So you've got to think ahead of time. That means that you want video. What do we want out of this? We want video that you can slice and dice and you can use for future use. And you want really good audio because people can deal with standard video. They won't be able to tolerate bad sound. Anytime that they watch it in the future, you know, if it's captured and it's put on YouTube, even if it's just small clips, we want to make sure that we've got great audio that we can match up with the video. You also, especially if you're interacting with people, you want pictures and you want testimonials from the people who were there. So if you're in person, get somebody to take pictures. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. They can shoot it on their iPhones. Not really that big of a deal. If you're interacting with people, if you're in front of an audience or whatever, you know, I joked about the fact that there is a well-known coach trainer, and I will leave them nameless, that has done this very thing, but it was a fake event. And they showed them, but they look like they are killing it. It looks like they've got hundreds of people out in the audience that they're actually training to be coaches, but it was completely staged because you can tell by the way that people look and the way that they dressed. And she kind of just like had herself videoed walking out and talking to the crowd or whatever and blowing kisses to them and stuff like that. Now, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not telling you to be fake or phony or inauthentic. What I am saying is that candid stuff actually is really, it's really vital. It's really life-giving. It's really, you know, in terms of building rapport and everything else, we want to capture those things. And especially if somebody has been helped by whatever it is that you're doing, then we want to be able to capture that as well. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of it. What's the nitty-gritty of it? First thing, choose a topic, choose content that you want to be cornerstone for your brand. What do I mean by cornerstone? When I say cornerstone, this is what I'm really talking about. What I'm talking about is, what do you want to be known as an authority for? That's the topic that you want to talk about. What, in everything that you do inside of your coaching practice, what do you want to be known as an authority for? That should be the topic and content that you talk about. What is the most common pain point for the people that you serve? That obviously needs to be inside of that speaking gig. Both of these things. What do you want to be known as an authority for? Talk about that. Don't talk about things you don't know about. Don't talk about this stuff that you have to sit around killing yourself in research or whatever. You want knowledge, you want wisdom, you want experience in the things that you're supposed to be helping people for, the result that you're helping people get in their life. So you want to talk about the things that you want to talk about. You know, I told our Jumpstart group last week, if you notice what they do in modern politics, they didn't used to do this, but more so in modern politics, you know, definitely at least the last 20 years or something like that, because they know that people are not going to watch the debates or anything else. So usually have sound bites that will be taken away from these moments, these golden moments. And so in that, what those people have done is they've thought about the talking points that they want to talk about, that they know are the pain points and are also the things that they want people to walk away with, you know. And when I say that, that means that inside of that, there are one-liners that are used. There are zingers. And somebody asked me yesterday, what's a zinger, Paul? And I said, well, it's like, it's a zinger. That's the only thing that I can describe it, that you thought about something and it was powerful. It was memorable, might be something that people would grab. You know why I want you to do it inside of your speaking gigs? Because if you record it, even a video of it, that can go on your Instagram as a reel. 60 seconds or less. You getting one memorable quote, one zinger that you had planned ahead of time, and you're able to capture that. Someone who does not watch the entire video will also get turned on to what it is that you do, and maybe watch the whole video later because you were thoughtful about 1 minute out of that experience that you put together. Remember again, this is information. This is content that you want to use in the future. And so what you always want to think about is your niche, who you help, and what problems that you help people solve. You want everyone to walk away that day, especially if you get invited to speak at a networking group, especially if where you are asked to speak may not be a room full of people who are your prospective clients. Because I realize that if you're in a networking group in your own area and you go there and speak, not everybody there is your ideal client. But here's what we always want to do with all of our messaging. We want to say something that's in our wheelhouse that can help everyone that's there, even though they're not our ideal client. And when they're listening, they should be able to simply connect who it is that we help and what problems that we help people solve when we're in there. Do yourself a favor and think through these things. That's what I'm trying to encourage you to do. Next thing, give them at least one powerful, actionable thing they can put into motion right now that they will walk away with. One thing that is powerful. I don't withhold on that group. Think of something. I don't care. Again, like when I say actionable, what I'm really talking about, the fact is that they need a payoff. They need a result. They need a fix. And it might be a Band-Aid fix. It may not solve all of their issues. It may not solve all of their problems or whatever. But one thing that is a payoff, that is an actionable thing that they can walk away with. Why? Because if you can give them one thing in one speaking gig that is general for everybody who's there, then the understanding is if they help me with one thing, then I feel what? I feel good about you. I feel like you could have a solution. I have a positive feeling that now I associate with you, and now I believe that you can help me because you didn't waste my time. You didn't sit there just talking about yourself and just sitting up there trying to get clients. You actually did something that when I walk away, I'm associating you with being a problem solver. That's the first thing. Or second thing. Third thing, use personal stories, use client stories. Why is that? Because people remember your stories. They don't remember bullet points. You know, when I was growing up, my dad was a pastor, and I had to go to church 2 times on Sunday and one on Sunday, and one time on Wednesday. That means that I heard every one of my dad's sermons because we didn't take vacations away from anything. If anything, we usually had a vacation, and my dad was speaking somewhere or doing something. I heard a lot of sermons in my lifetime. I don't remember a single bullet point out of all of them, and it doesn't mean that I didn't hear anything significant in all of those years, but I can't think of any lecture that I ever listened to. I don't remember any classroom teaching or anything else where I remembered a single bullet point, and probably none of you do as well. Maybe 1 or 2 out of the thousands of hours that you've heard of things. So the reality is that the way that information was passed for centuries, really for thousands of years, was in story form. That the story carried the point with it. So if you talk in story form, you talk about in client stories or personal stories or whatever, and you hide the truth, but not really hide the truth, what I would say is that you embed the truth inside of the story. If they can't remember the bullet point, they'll usually remember the story, and they can figure out what your bullet point was because they remember the story. Even little kids, we know that about little kids. Some little kid goes to school and some book or somebody spoke or whatever and told their story or whatever, and they come home and they tell you this long, drawn out story about whatever, and some of us as parents, we're not particularly interested in it or whatever, but they can remember the story. But if you told them, to go take their vitamins to start the day, they don't even remember you saying that, do they? If you ask them anything that you talked to them about the day before, they can't remember one single thing, but they can remember that crazy story that someone told at school. It's the power of things. This is the way that our brains work to catalog information and everything else. It just makes it easier. And it's not just making it easier. What it does is it builds your personal credibility with the audience. So you know what we want to be okay with? We want to be okay with vulnerability. We don't want to be afraid of showing emotion. Now, I don't mean sitting there crying through the entire thing and talking about the trauma from your youth and everything else and making it a buzzkill. But don't be afraid of being vulnerable, and don't be afraid of sharing emotion. Of like, people know that this matters to you. Listen, if you are working with clients, you're trying to build credibility in something, the fact that you are passionate about your clients, passionate about what their problems are, passionate about what it is that they want in their life, those are the people I want to work with. I want to work with somebody who cares about it. I don't want to work with somebody who's just kind of monotone the entire time. I want to see that it matters. Sometime in your life that you were kept up at night by this problem, that you were dreaming and that you were thinking about me as a potential client or whatever. This is really important, because if it matters to you and it moves you, it will move the audience. Other thing that I'd add with it is put yourself out there. Be authentic and make your story relate to theirs. That's how the story matters. Is that maybe you've got a great story, but if you've got to put it in a way that connects with their pain points and what it is that they want that's similar to yours. Tell client stories that allow people to really easily put themselves in the shoes of the people that they were talking about. Here's a big one, and I see coaches make this mistake all the time. I don't want you to make a mistake on this. Do not be ashamed of telling the audience specifically who you help, specifically what problems that you help people solve. And it doesn't have to be long, but spell it out for them. And it shouldn't be vague. It should be really clear who it is that you help and what problems that you help people solve. If you can use slides, use them. Why? Because visuals reinforce every point that you make. And it doesn't mean that you've got to overdo them. But one thing that you've got to do, you need to have your social media and contact information somewhere on those slides, preferably in the footer. But they should see your contact information. If you don't have them in the footer of your slides, even if you're getting interviewed on a Zoom, make sure that you share your slides. Because again, people get tired of seeing people. So when they see, even me today, there's a certain amount. Like, this is not sexy compared to stuff that we usually do. We're basically black on white. I'm just writing and highlighting some things. People will follow you in this. And you need to not be ashamed of putting your website and your social media and contact info out there several times throughout the presentation, because somebody might miss it. Somebody might come in late. Somebody might I wonder what that contact information, because those conversations are going on in their head while they're sitting there. I wonder what their website was again. I wonder what their social media was. I'd like to follow them now, or something like that. So we need to be okay with showing that, not just at the very end on the very last slide. Okay? Now, we keep going. 5, tell them what to do next. I have a whole training on what I call CTAs, call to actions. People who are sitting there don't know what their next step is. They don't know what their next step is while they're there. And you've got to give them some options on this. Call to action. You need to tell them what to do next. So here's how we do that. First thing, when it comes to a call to action, you've got to tell them what to do, what their next step is, and here's some ideas. Here's a great one. Hey, everybody, pull out your phones right now. You might even demonstrate it to them. pull out your phones right now. Now, I want you to look at the screen with me, and you can do this even if you're on social media or whatever. Look at the screen. Text Angela to the number that you see right there on the screen. I've got an instant freebie for you. See, what we want to do, again, we're giving them value. If you've got an instant download or an ebook, some kind of a PDF or whatever, survey, tool, whatever it is, have something that they actually want. Have them text in. If you use some kind of a texting program, they can text in, get the instant download on your phone. Now you've got their contact information. And that's the easiest thing, because I would say that the response rate on text is much higher. Email, if you have email, then you need to have like a really, really short link that right now, I'm going to ask you to do this with me right now, because I'm only going to make this download available right now. Make sure that it's scarce. Make sure that it's during the time. I need your response right now. So get them to opt in right then. Now what do you have? You have an exchange. You're giving them something of value. They're giving you permission to contact them in the future. And again, all of these things can be done in a way on social media, even in a podcast, and the way that you describe. Again, we just need simple handles that people can remember, not complicated words and not misspellings of normal words. Something really, really simple. If you're on Zoom, you can even put a one-click link in the chat. If you're in person, you can also add a tablet or a laptop at your booth. But I would say, if you can, have an instant freebie to get contact information, and they should be able to do that right from their phones. The other thing that I would add, say something like this: I've got room for 3 people who are serious about doing something now. You're pre-qualifying them. Come talk to me about how we can do that right now. Can we incentivize whatever we are doing? And you just never know. You might have somebody right there that's just ready to be asked. Here's what your next step is. You're ready to do this thing. Hey, I know, yeah, go ahead and get my email list. Go ahead and get that download. But I want to talk to you right now. I've got spots, and it's scarce. I've got 3 spots open right now. And it's not salesy. You've got to tell people what to do. And it's an exchange. You've been giving them something of value. So you have been given permission to ask. And any of you who are doing podcasts or anything else where you're getting interviewed or whatever, you can always ask permission just to make sure that, you're not doing something that they don't want you to do. So at least tell them on the front end, here's what I would like to do. And in most cases, because you're actually doing something to benefit their audience and everything else, they're usually fine with those kinds of things. Post-event, you better have a follow-up plan. Not just one time. You need to have a follow-up, the first follow-up within 24 hours. They need to get that instant download, and you need to follow up with them within 24 hours so they don't forget you. And then have an email plan, if they're on an email list, to at least hit them once a week. Texting, same thing. Because you need to get in their world. You need to keep giving them value and nurturing that relationship. And a lot of people don't think about the fact that, hey, you being up there one time, well, I thought I was going to get some clients out of just going and doing this interview or speaking somewhere. Did you follow up with them? That's your job. Your job doesn't stop just when you got up there and spoke. This is what you did to create initial contact. You've got to have a strategy for nurturing that relationship, because some may be ready to sign up today, but some may be not even ready at that moment, but maybe they're ready a week later or 2 weeks later or 3 months later. That's what we have to understand, is that I'm still nurturing a relationship. So have a plan for ongoing connection. Last thing that I'll say, you're going to use this content later. So all of your video and audio can be used on your podcast. It can be used on your Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. You can put them in blogs. You can have small clips. Update your website with fresh photos. Give them a picture of the audience with you, the interactions, testimonials. Have a plan for all of these things. You can absolutely crush it. You can do amazing things for your business, and you can accelerate rapport, but you've got to think about your outcomes. Again, what are your outcomes? You want to build rapport. You want to serve your audience really well, and you want to show that you can add value to them. But you've also got to think about the outcome of, I want referrals out of this. I at the very least, want people to give me permission to continue nurturing a relationship with them. We want to get clients out of this. And then the last part is always going to be, hey, what was I able to grab in terms of content that I can keep reusing for the future? One of the things that I always tell our coaches as well, if you ever go live on YouTube, you can very easily switch your YouTube video into a podcast. You can easily, like process that to be an MP3 or anything. Like there's a lot of different ways that you can put your content out there in a lot of different sources that are out there, platforms. But you only did the content one time. You only were there one time. But you can slice and dice, and you can put it in a lot of different locations, because if your ideal clients are looking in various places, then you want to be able to find them. And more importantly, that they can find you wherever they're looking. Let me pay the bills really quickly, and then I'm going to answer some more questions. For those of you who have not gotten trained and certified as a coach, what I gave you a little bit of taste of tonight, specifically, with some of the ongoing training and different things that we do inside of our Jumpstart group. One question that created all of this content that you guys get to enjoy tonight. Because we're always working in partnership with our coaches who are part of our Jumpstart program, because we want to see you succeed. I'm not interested in you just brandishing a certificate from Life Coach Training Institute. The certificate is your vehicle to get you to your destination. It's not the destination. And most schools stop there. I'm not interested in that. I want you to get trained and certified and be a proficient coach. But the only way that you can actually utilize that is to get paying clients that you can help. And so I want to maximize your potential to work with to help as many people as you possibly can. And that's where our Jumpstart program comes in. Jumpstart includes training, certification, but also the steps to develop your business. And it's very reasonable that you could get trained and certified and develop your business in 90 days. Let me give you a couple of things that we're offering. The Life Coach Training the Life Coach certification course has always been a self-paced program, but we've recently, in the last couple of months, added Live Tuesday training. So you have the option of going through every one of these modules that you see here, these 7 core modules that are also included in Bootcamp: Foundations of Coaching, the Anatomy of a Dynamic Coaching Session, how to help your clients achieve extraordinary results, how to listen on a transformational level, how to ask powerful questions, how to establish a growing coaching practice with live coaching demos and live Q&As. These are rolling sessions on Tuesday. Tomorrow night, I will be in session 2, which is the Anatomy of a Dynamic Coaching Session. This is to supplement everything that you're learning, because what do we want to do on Tuesday nights? Well, I want to connect with you, because every one of these sessions end with a Q&A. Tomorrow, we'll have a coaching demo. We'll have a couple of coaches that will practice during that session so that you can see what it looks like firsthand. We want you to walk away with confidence, but we also want you to be able to connect with other coaches so that you can work on your assignments together. But because I see accountability and connection being major factors in whether or not you're going to be successful as a coach. We also have our coaching bootcamp, which allows you to knock your training out in a single weekend. And again, these are the exact same sessions that we include in the Life Coach certification course, but we do them do them over the course of a weekend: Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, normally, if you were just going to enroll in the Life Coach certification course, that'd be $195, which is a great deal. This one's only $247. But what we do is that we include both of these inside of Jumpstart, which is $97 a month with a 3-month minimum commitment. But we haven't stopped there. We also have Brand Camp for those of you who have no clue of what do you want to include in a website. How do you write a sales page? How do you write an email? How do you optimize your website for search engines? We cover all of these things. The SEO information that I give you, we've helped so many people get on the first page of Google with that. That alone is worth thousands of dollars. This is included in that $97 a month. We hold you, we take you by the hand, we hold your hand, and we walk you through these things so that you can have a dynamic website, you can have dynamic social media presence. And here's the other thing that we do. Anything that you're working on, you can bring to our Wednesday group call, and we give you feedback on anything that you are working on. So if it's not dialed in perfectly, we can show you what you need to do and what you need to move around and what you should add and what you should take away. Now, the coaching product launch blueprint is something that we added into the menu for Jumpstart last year, and it's 8 sessions where we literally help you go from brainstorming to coming up with a product idea that includes website development, social media posts, funnels, all of those days leading up to a 14-day product launch sequence. We will literally, one of the tools that we start you with is to go back even in your story and think through all of the steps, all of the giants that you've killed, the dragons that you've slain in your life, and to be able to process all of these moments throughout your life, because what you probably have underestimated is the knowledge, wisdom, experience, the tools that you've gained along the way that you could probably put together to either launch your coaching practice or to launch maybe an individual coaching product like an online course, a webinar, group coaching, or any of those things. Jumpstart, again, everything that I talked about, and that was a lot, is $97 a month with a 3-month minimum commitment that includes live Tuesday night training, and it also includes a live group coaching call. There's nobody who's doing this. I can guarantee you. If any of you have spent 5 minutes researching coaching programs, you know that this is an extraordinary deal. Almost to the point that some of you would say, well, that's too good to be true. And I was like, listen, if it's not great, then it wouldn't be too good to be true, right? So that's the thing. I want you to think this is too good to be true, and I want you to get in the program, and I want you to still say, this is almost a steal. This is way too good to be true. And I'd say that most of our coaches, for the most part, would tell you exactly the same thing. They've looked around at the other programs that are out there. Some have actually gotten trained and certified in other schools and then came to us to do their business development, because that was a big block and a barrier in their coaching career. So if you think it's too good to be true, well, there's nothing to lose for $97 a month. But I guarantee you that after you get in, you're gonna like, wow, this was really a lot more than what I was really expecting. I'm used to hearing that from people, and I pride myself on saying that we will give you more value than you ever thought of paying for. That's guaranteed. Let me jump over here and just say hello to a few other people who are saying hello to me over here. Kel says, am I the only one hearing interference? Yeah, we're having a little bit of technical issues. We've got to get this fixed in the next week. That's what I was saying on the front end. Let me say hello to a couple of people who are on here really quick. And Shane says, I've been working with Paul for almost 2 years. He's awesome. Thank you, Shane. I appreciate that. Is there any value to doing a call out like that and actually doing a mini coaching session on a question from the audience? I think that there's value in it. The only challenge that I would say is that it may go longer than what you want, depending on what the problem is and if you're able to isolate it enough to be able to help someone get a result. And let me piggyback on this, because some of you are probably familiar with watching some of these videos with like Tony Robbins helping someone get breakthrough in like 5 minutes or something like that. The Date with Destiny and other programs that he offers, there's a lot of pre-work that's going where they are working with in a group with coaches and everything else, so that by the time those moments happen, they're not really spontaneous at all. He knows a lot about that information, what's going on, and he's kind of just like bringing them across the threshold. So it looks really amazing that they were able to, and everybody's like, wow, that's a big wow factor in front of everyone. But there was some pre-work and other things that were involved in it. All this to say that if we try to do things live in front of everybody, depending on the person who's in front of you and the type of person that they are, I can think of a couple of individuals that I know that they're a little bit slower processors, and I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying they're slower processors in the way that they're thinking about things, and they need a little bit more time and a little bit more space. And a couple of people that I'm thinking of wouldn't respond. They would feel a little bit shut down. They would probably just shut down and fold because they were in front of an audience. So those things can happen. That's the only warning or caution, I should say, not a warning, but caution that I would say in attempting to do that, is that it may not go as well as you hoped. And it's just because, well, we just didn't have the ideal person in front of us to be able to pull it off. So that's the only thing that I would say about that. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for being patient with this microphone thing. We're going to get this wire fixed. It's just like something that just like popped up out of nowhere, and we were doing everything that we could to get rid of any interference or whatever was happening. But we're going to work on it, and we're going to. Oh, it's so funny. Shane said, "So find me some plants." Well, you know, I understand it that some people will literally ask people before they do something like that. Hey, is it okay? They had a conversation with them. Is it okay if we finish this conversation maybe in front of people? And I've seen people do that in live events. And it was less about being a plant, but it was more about, hey, this person feels really comfortable. And I feel like maybe I can bring them the rest of the way across the threshold in that moment. That's a possibility as well, you know, if you're able to do a live thing. So listen, I appreciate you guys all immensely. Do me a huge favor. Like this post, share it. It always tells Facebook and YouTube that we are doing a good job. And also the enrollment link for this program is inside of the description. But I'm also going to throw this other little thing that's up here. Somehow we're able to throw this QR code on here. And if you just hit that code right there, then you will be able to enroll. So it's like, where's it at? It's right here. Yeah, see that right there? Use that QR code, and then you can get enrolled like really quickly. So again, or you can just click the link inside the description. That'll get you there as well. Listen, I appreciate you guys all immensely. Have a great rest of your week and take care.